I'm Umbreon Libris. I streamed the first part of my playthrough of Isle of Armor last Wednesday, and imagine my surprise when, totally unexpectedly and unannounced, it turned out that following Pokemon are back! Following Pokemon have been one of the most popular feature of past Pokemon games like Heart Gold and Soul Silver and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, so I was really excited to see new Pokemon accompanying me. But then this happened. Here he is. I mean... what? He just disappeared. This is terrible. This is really bad. Honestly. Like, it's nice to, oh yeah, okay, a Pokemon is following you, but I can't see it if I'm from behind. I guess if I, like... Yeah, okay, this is better, but still. And Rillaboom just stays really far behind. Yeah, not a good first impression. I tried a few other Pokemon, but I was pretty dissatisfied with how they were implemented. I guess this became a pretty contentious topic, with some people seeming to think that this is a good direction for it to be going in, and I don't know what the justifications are for those people. So instead of just telling you how bad I think it is, I want to start with a quick overview of the history of following Pokemon. It all began with my first Pokemon game, Pokemon Yellow, which, being based on the anime, featured as your starter a Pikachu that refused to go into the Pokeball, so it followed you around. The following mechanic is pretty simple. The Pikachu sprite just occupies the square that you occupied one step before, so it follows you exactly even when you're like jumping down a ledge. What made this version of it charming was the interactions that you could have with Pikachu. Depending on your level of friendship and whether Pikachu has a status condition or where you are, Pikachu could have as many as 15 different reactions, which was a lot for the time. One that I really like is when you jump down a ledge but leave Pikachu at the top, it starts to get agitated and so you feel bad and you let it come down. Pikachu only won't follow you if it faints, if you put it in the box, or if you're riding your bike. This feature was completely absent for 2 whole generations, only coming back in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum in a fairly limited fashion. There was one small area in Hearthome City called Amity Square where you could walk around with a Pokemon following you. This time there were a few different Pokemon that you could have following you, like a Baniri or, of course, a Pikachu, and in Platinum your starter was eligible too. And there were some interactions you could have with your Pokemon, like they could give you berries or accessories, but because Amity Square was so small, I doubt that a lot of people spent much time in there. It was in the other set of Gen 4 games that following Pokemon really became a sensation. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, right from the time you get your starter, the first Pokemon in your party follows you outside of its ball. So this applies to just about any part of the game and any Pokemon, and something else that was key here, shiny Pokemon actually appeared shiny in the overworld. In terms of how it functioned, it was pretty much exactly like the previous versions. Pokemon follow you one step behind, they jump down ledges, they disappear when you go on your bike, and there's a few possible reactions when you interact with them. It wasn't the most realistic feature. Pokemon followed you at exactly your pace, whether it was a Slowpoke or a Ninjask. They occupy one square of space, whether it's a Caterpie or a Steelix, and even fish Pokemon could follow you on land. But I don't think realism was something anyone was concerned with back then. We were happy to have our friends walking around with us and seeing their cute little pixel art butts. The feature once again goes dormant for a full 2 generations, almost 3, coming back only in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and once again, the feature was wonderful. You could pick any Pokemon in your party to follow you, not just the first member. Pokemon would switch between a walking and a running animation as appropriate, and for the most part, they would follow pretty closely behind you. But they had different styles, so some of them would run in front of you, some would be too slow and lag behind, some would walk and run, but others would float, and some you could even ride on. There were even some Pokemon that wouldn't follow you on land, but could give you a ride on water. I'm a big fan of how they implemented this in Let's Go, but again, it isn't flawless. Pokemon don't hop down ledges, they teleport in and out of their Pokeballs even if they're flying or floating. If the space was too tight, they would also go back into their Pokeball, which means that depending on the place and depending on the Pokemon, you could have them going in and out really awkwardly. So again, not the most realistic feature, but really charming and a huge part of the appeal of Let's Go. And then the Isle of Armor. But again, I don't want to just tell you that it's bad, so I picked a number of Pokemon that are available in both Let's Go and Sword and Shield to compare how they follow you. I'll even be generous. In most of my footage of the Isle of Armor, I'm using the wide-angle camera, and I'm on foot so that my speed is more moderate than if I was on the bike the whole time. The vast majority of Pokemon I looked at move way too slowly in Isle of Armor. In Let's Go, Pokemon like Venusaur, Hitmonlee, and Eevee keep up with you in a way that feels pretty natural for the way they're animated. In Isle of Armor, you very quickly outrun all of them. Pikachu, a Pokemon that in Let's Go can actually outpace the trainer and move ahead in a way that almost feels like it's independent, also lags painfully behind. You might think that a floating Pokemon should be able to look natural following you at any speed. Gengar, Weezing, Wigglytuff, Alakazam, they all keep up very well in Let's Go, but quickly fall behind in Isle of Armor, even though Gengar and Alakazam are very speedy Pokemon. Aquatic Pokemon following you on land has always been a weird thing to me, but as long as Seeking is floating behind you, I don't think a realistic movement speed is that important. Starmie and Lapras were ones you could ride in Let's Go, so you know they could keep up with you. But in Isle of Armor, both of them fall behind, even if you're on water. Sure, you're on your bike now, but they don't seem to move any faster. Tauros was another one you could ride, and back in Alola, it was the ride Pokemon replacement for the bicycle. So it can definitely keep up with the player, right? Well, yes and no. It does run faster than you, but every time it catches up to you, instead of just keeping pace, it slows back down. Maybe if you're on your bike, that's a better speed? Nope. Now you just outspeed it. Dugtrio is one that actually doesn't look great in either iteration. This is not how I expected a Dugtrio to move. Shouldn't it be going in and out of the ground? But in Let's Go, at least it has a dirt track behind it and it keeps up with you, while in Isle of Armor, it moves super slowly and it doesn't even have a dirt track. I did find some Pokemon that actually look better in Isle of Armor. One is Ninetales. It is clearly animated for much more speed than it is actually moving at in Let's Go, so it looks like it's running in place. In Isle of Armor, it can outrun the player, so it does the whole start and stop thing, but at least when it runs, it does look better. The other two that are better in Isle of Armor are Caterpie and Metapod. In Let's Go, Caterpie lags behind a lot, but it still moves a bit too quickly for a Caterpie. And Metapod almost looks like it's just tied to your waist and being dragged behind you by an invisible rope. In Sword and Shield, both of them move at a much more natural speed. If you're not convinced yet that Pokemon are poorly implemented in Isle of Armor, here are a few more examples from Pokemon that aren't also in Let's Go. Midnight Lycanroc, Tsarina, and Zoroark are all faster than you, so they catch up and slow down. But if you're on your bike, now you're too fast. Okay, I actually really like this running animation for Zoroark, but the way it follows you is still bad. Inteleon is super speedy, so it runs, catches up, and stops all the time, even if you're on the bicycle. Barraskewda, one of the fastest Pokemon in the game, somehow still falls behind, even if you're in water. Wailord, also too slow, and because it's so big, it's really awkward. And this isn't even the full size of that wild Wailord. Pincurchin moves so slowly you can barely tell that it's moving, but yeah, alright, that one makes sense. And Obstagoon seems to run at the exact pace of the player, so if you can give it a running start, then you two can run together really well until you stop. So my question is this. What is the point of Pokemon following you if you can't see them most of the time? This isn't me hanging out with my friend Barrett. This is more like me trying to abandon my friend Barrett. Alright, come back here, buddy. I don't think every single Pokemon needs to follow behind you at exactly your pace the way it was in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Having different speeds and different personalities in how they run is really nice. But way too many Pokemon are just too slow. And even the ones that have a better speed need to follow more closely. This delay between when you start running and when they do is way too long. It means that you can only really see them if you keep the camera facing backwards. But that means you can't see where you're going, so you can't avoid wild Pokemon very well. And the camera naturally drifts to point ahead of you. So if you want to see your Pokemon, you have to actively keep your camera on them. And this start and stop style for fast Pokemon looks really, really bad. Why can't these Pokemon outrun me the way Pikachu does in Let's Go? Or at least modulate their speed to better match my running speed, especially when they are clearly faster than me, even on the bike. Oh, and when you get too far from your Pokemon and it has to teleport to you, it doesn't even do the Pokeball animation. So, yeah, I think following Pokemon as it was implemented in Isle of Armor was a mistake. If they only added this feature to appease the fans and didn't take the time and care to make sure that following Pokemon actually looked good, then they shouldn't have added this at all. I haven't tested every single Pokemon. There are probably Pokemon that look much better and much worse than the ones I looked at. But I wanted to leave you with the top 3 best and worst following Pokemon that I found. And to end on a more positive note, we'll do the bad ones first. Number 3 worst is Phalanx, a Pokemon that is all around poorly animated because the group is mostly animated as a whole rather than as 5 individuals. So not only are they really slow, they turn around really awkwardly. And if you're on even a minor incline, they clip into the ground at the front and float on the back. Number 2 worst is Centiskorch, but it's actually a really close contest with Phalanx because they have all the same problems. I put Centiskorch above Phalanx because the way it clips into the ground at the front and floats at the back is even more pronounced. But number 1 worst is Sharpedo, another really speedy Pokemon that is inexplicably slow. But what bothers me most is that wild Sharpedo are so fast they will catch up to you on the bike unless you use the boost. So why the hell is my Sharpedo all the way back there? Alright, here are the best ones I found. Number 3 best is a Hawlucha. It flies a bit too quickly, and when it catches up to you on foot, it actually lands, so that's not great. But if you're biking on the water, where the bike speed is a little bit slower, it actually keeps up really nicely. And since it can't land on the water, Hawlucha just hangs out with you, which can be a bit awkward when you stop, but hey, it's better than the alternative. Number 2 is Braviary, but another really close call with Hawlucha, because the bike does outrun Braviary even on the water. But at least on foot, it keeps a really good following distance. And the absolute best following Pokemon I found is Rotom, but only the light bulb form. Because it moves super quickly and erratically, it is the only one that will actually fly past you when you're on foot and come back. And you can still see it even on the closer camera angle, and even on the bike, you can see it popping up. I think I'm gonna keep this guy around while I go looking for some more Diglets. Let me know in the comments what you think of the following mechanic in Isle of Armor and which Pokemon you think are the best and worst ones to have following you. I know this is another topic that people are going to have very different opinions on. Thank you as always for watching. If you're new here, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe. And if you're enjoying this video, a like and a share really go a long way. If you want to watch me complete the Isle of Armor plot, the whole part after getting Kubfu, I will be streaming that this coming Wednesday, June 24th at noon Pacific time. Thank you finally to my patrons, especially luxury patron Ethan Saffron. I'm Umbreon Libris. I'll see you in the next chapter. The vast majority of Pokemon I looked at move way too slowly in Isle of Armor.